What does it mean to get the backstory? It means asking the hard questions and getting to the heart of what matters about your mental, spiritual, financial, and physical well-being. In my quest to find wholeness, wellness, and end the 40 years of obesity that ravaged my body, I found that it was my own stories that were keeping me trapped in processed food addiction. Once I started asking the right questions, those same stories led to brand new consciousness, mindfulness, and agency. Each month on Get the Backstory Live, we take on the tough questions so you can find the healing, hope, and transformation hidden in your story.
Well, hello there, and welcome to Get the Backstory Live. It is September the 18th at 7 p.m., and it is time for us to get our wellness on. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. My name is Michelle Petties. I am your host, and we come to you every month sharing stories of inspiration to those who are on a wellness journey. And oftentimes on that wellness journey, you're like I was. I was on a weight loss journey. In my lifetime, I have gained and lost over 700 pounds. Yeah, from the time I was 20 until the time I was 60, I was a yo-yo dieter. I was an emotional overeater. I struggled with cravings and binges, stress eating. And when I finally figured out the secret, when I finally figured out how to get some relief, one of the things I figured out is that we need support. We need inspiration. We need motivation. We need to see and hear the stories that have of people who have gone through the struggle and come out better on the other side. We also need support and inspiration and support from people that are doing the work, that's what they do every day, that they have expertise in that area. And that's one of the reasons why I am so excited about tonight's show. Tonight's show, we're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna do some girl talk. We're gonna do some wellness girl talk. We're gonna do some self-care girl talk with one of my favorite people on the planet. And I don't say that often. I don't say that often. But this woman is fire. Right. This woman's got some juicy stuff. She is known all over the world as the plank master. I love her. I love her. Candice Camille. She is the author of Sexy Fit and Well. We haven't talked to her for a while. We had her on last year when we did the show what it means to be sexy in your 60s. Well, tonight we're talking about what is involved in getting on the fitness revolution, getting on the wellness revolution. Because that's her thing, sexy, fit, and well. So what does it mean to be well? It's different for everybody, but we all have to do some of the same things. But before we get into the conversation, and I'm just going to stop talking, I want to introduce you to my guest, if you haven't heard of her. Candice Camille, known as the Wellologist, is a dynamic wellness expert and author of the book Sexy, Fit, and Well. She focuses on empowering individuals, especially women, to take control of their health through mindset shifts, nutrition, exercise, and self care. Didn't I just say that? I just said that. Candice is known for her high energy, no nonsense approach. So tonight, if if you're if you're not ready for no nonsense, this might not be the show for you because she brings it straight, no chaser. Straight, no chaser. Known for her no nonsense approach, encouraging people to make wellness a priority in their lives. Because if it's important, you make time for it, right? How important is your life? Rather than oh, rather than waiting for the perfect time, make it a priority. Her programs, such as the Plank Talk Challenge, emphasize small, impactful changes that lead to significant wellness improvements over time. Small changes, significant improvements. And without further ado, I want to bring on camera my friend, my favorite, Candice Camille, the Wellologist.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, Michelle, how you doing? How you doing? I absolutely love this 1 o'clock in the afternoon because I go seriously from fitness trainer to CEO, working in, getting my body working first, getting my mind working first, and then becoming the CEO of Candice Camille International. So it took a minute to pull it all together, but this is my best at this hour. So I'm excited to be here.
Well, we want to get you at your best. So here's now, not that you're at your best, not that you aren't at your best all the time, but we will. This is about being at the top of your game. This is about saving your life. And let's do this, Candice. For those who don't know you, for those who don't know your story, just give our audience an introduction to the Wellologist, Candice Camille, who you are, how you got to be who you are. Give us the backstory, because that's what this is. Give us the Candice Camille backstory, girl.
All right, let me just give you the quick backstory for those of you that know who I am. But today I am CEO of Candice Camille International, speaker, coach, founder of Sexy Fit and Well and the Plank Talk Nation, and creator of the Plank Talk Challenge. I'm a world-renowned plank challenger. Right now, I am a world contender for planking. And what I do is I partner with ambitious women who's ready to really introduce themselves to a better version of them. I show them how to transition from worry to workout through meals, mindset, and movement, with results you can see in your body and feel in your soul, and ultimately become sexy, fit, and well. But I wasn't always there. My backstory goes back about 40 years, and I'm a cancer conqueror. I was overweight. When I hear Michelle say that she lost and gained 700 pounds. I have to go back and count, but it was a whole lot of weight in between before I got to the 115 pounds that I lost. Because again, you're stuck in that loop and you're going around and around and around, and you're losing and you're gaining. And we all do that until we get it. I didn't get it till after I kicked cancers behind. So I am in remission for about 32 years right now. And I learned how to mesh, and that's basically what I call it today. And what that means is that I learned how to move every day. I learned how to eat well, which is the rainbow. I learned the importance of sleep and how water interacted with your body, and we call it meshing. And again, we know that because there's a question I always ask my clients: what are you pretending not to know? Because we know we're supposed to move. We know we're supposed to eat well. We know that we're supposed to go to bed and go to sleep and get 8 hours of sleep, and at a bare minimum drink 64 ounces of water a day. But there's always that block. There's always that limiting belief, that backstory, as you say, on why aren't you doing this? Because we do the things that we are taught. And I was taught to just take care of myself by any means necessary. So it had nothing to do with how to eat well, what was healthy, what was not. We come from poor backgrounds. Like I said, I was child abuse. I was homeless. I was in domestic violence. You ain't had no time to think about what you ate. You ate what was available. So no matter how it affected your body, but when it affects your body to the point where death is imminent, is pretty much where the light bulbs come on and says, if you want to be on this earth until you 60, until you 70, until you 80, but not just be here, thriving and living a quality of life that you're not dealing with any diseases like obesity and diabetes and cancer anymore without being sick. And I'm here to say, by going through the meshing, eating, moving daily, there hasn't been a day in over 35 years almost that I haven't moved every single day. Eating well, what does that look like? For me, it's just a rainbow. I eat very colorful. And if you know me, for those that know me, know I come very colorful. I eat like I look, believe it or not. And sleeping is not underrated. Oh my God. It's almost a thing. If you don't don't rest yourself, you will wreck yourself. And that's what I believe about sleeping. So you really will, with rest comes clarity. If you do not go to sleep and rest, you're not being clear on a lot of things. You're just going around and around and around. And then there's that hydration, that water. We are made up about 78 to 85% water. I want to know, why don't you want to replace you? See, that's the question. When you're talking about a revolution and all these evolutionary changes that we go through in life. So in my 30s, my evolving and my evolution was going through all these changes on how to eat, how to move, how to sleep, how to hydrate. Because what I believe about it, for every evolutionary change that you make, it will lead you to the revolution that changes you. And that's why I call it a wellness revolution, because it's your revolution. Wellness is so personal. You may do some of the things that I've done, and I'm going to tell you exactly what to do, but it's all you. Your 1 + 1 don't equal my 2. So the tools and the nuggets that you take away from here, make it very, very personal, so you can go through all these changes, all this transformation. And remember that a transformation is not a one and done. It's a series of changes. So as you evolve into a better version of yourself, and understanding your backstory and why you eat the way you eat, because it was your mama, your grandmama, your uncle, or whoever put these beliefs inside of you. And now it's the time to develop your own beliefs once you recognize, where that comes from. So that's what brought me to who I am today, which is the Wellologist.
Oh, Candice, you said so much in there. There's so much stuff for us to unpack in that. But I want to go back to the mesh, and you broke it down. But I just want you to do a deeper dive on where you said we know these things, but we don't do these things. And talk about some of the blocks that you hear. What are the ones that are recurring? Because you said we know these things and we don't do these things, and this other thing, it's almost like it's not until death is imminent that, and sometimes when it's imminent, people still don't change. Right?
Well, they change for a minute, because death will make you change. Illness will make you change. But as soon as you get through it, you go back to your standard operating procedure, because you really only dealt with your illness. You still have yourself to deal with. And that's the one thing we don't want to deal with. So even when you're talking about, we know these things, we do these things, but it goes back to your limiting beliefs and what you were taught and what was important to you. A lot of the times with obesity and all this stuff, I can honestly say on that, it is your fault by your behavior now, but it wasn't our fault from what it was taught to us, because you can only do what you are taught until you know better. But the problem comes in is, when you know better, are you really doing better? And that's basically what it is, because, in my family, I don't know about y'all, we had these crazy things that we were taught about food, because we were poor, you had to eat everything on your plate. So you were being force fed, even when you were full, it's like, because we don't have nothing to throw away.
Right.
You better eat all this food.
Right.
I'm gonna beat your behind one way or the other. So that's another thing.
So Candice, let me tell you something that just happened to me this past weekend. I went to Texas, and I went to a comedy show with my roommate from college. She had bought these tickets to this comedy show, and we were headed to go to dinner before the show. When we got to the restaurant, she forgot her glasses, so we had to go back home. Right, we had to go back home for her to get her glasses. And so we were like, okay, no problem. We can just get something to eat at the comedy show. When we got to the comedy show, they had a requirement of a 2-item purchase on the menu. You had to purchase 2 items, and there was really nothing good on that menu that's going to serve your body. So they're looking for you. They're looking for you to buy some alcohol, and they're looking for you to buy some French fries with some chili sauce and cheese on it, right? At a high price. It was a requirement. I got to thinking, fortunately, we didn't eat at the restaurant before because she had to go back and get her glasses. We got something to eat there. What I ended up doing, I ended up buying 2 entrees. I ended up getting 2 salmon salads, one to eat there and one to take home, right? To satisfy the requirement. But as I was looking around the room, other people weren't doing that. As I was looking at my table of what people ordered, it was, and as I was looking around the room and I could see what people looked like, it was like agency. People were just stripped of their agency. And it was like, is it being forced to eat? People were being forced to eat.
So now that's a different story. That almost comes into capitalization, and it still boils down to what you said, that I brought what was in my menu, what was on my plan. That was what was on the menu that was on my plan. So I can satisfy, what we had to do, the salmon salad or whatever, even though it was required based on your ticket. So again, reading is fundamental. When you buy tickets, these are the things you got to know beforehand. So at the end of the day, when you do that and you wanted to stay there, we got to abide by the rules. But now you have to say, what's your rules? See, all those people that you looked around that was eating the cheese fries and the fried chicken and the chicken wings and all this, the fast food that they have available, that stuff was in their plan. So it was okay. They weren't being force fed. It was just their plan. They were abiding by their plan. They had to meet a requirement for the comedy show in the restaurant, but what was on the menu? Now, let's just say, just like you, if there was no salmon salad on the menu, I would have brought it and threw it away. And that's just my thing. Because I don't feel about money the way I feel about my body. My body is priceless. And see,
say that again. You need to say that again.
My body, and I'm like I tell you in the beginning, wellness is personal. My body is priceless. So if all they had on the menu was cheese fries and the chicken wings, and that's where the 2 items I had to order, if I wanted to stay there and see the comedy show, I was going to order these things. But I would have threw them away or sent them back and say, well, give me the least items that you have on it menu. If it comes to $50 here, that's what I'm going to pay. Just bring me some lemon water and I'm going to be okay. But again, that's personal. I don't look at it as wasting. So again, when you talk about your backstory and what we were taught, back then, we were taught money is important. You are not wasting any money.
Right.
But to me, that was me wasting my life if I went and I ate the cheese fries or the fried chicken because it was not good for my body. That kind of food for me, incurs sickness. Like I look at it and be like, I'm gonna get ill, so I am not going to eat it. But just like you and me and a few other people that's in the same space, that's something you really, really have to work to. And you got to be willing to do that work as it goes along. Because again, we were fed, we were fed ham hocks and all kinds of stuff. But this is, hog mugs and chili. What I think about as an adult, but at the end of the day, this is what our parents, our grandparents, our ancestors, this is what they had. They were being fed scraps. Yeah. We are no longer in a position to have to eat scraps. So why are you still doing it?
Right.
So that's a question you have to ask yourself.
So I love what you said about being in that restaurant, because it's all mindset. It's all shifting what we see when we see stuff on a plate. right? So like you said, you see illness. When you see that, you see illness, you see death, right? We see destruction.
Yes.
We see all of that. So in our minds, we have to create a different picture of what this stuff used to mean to us, right?
Yeah.
We have to create a different picture of what the advertising community tells us what it is. And we have to take control of programming our own minds with the information, right, that will lead us to wellness. But we
But
can't.
you know what, Michelle, and that's so huge. That will lead us to wellness. But see, a lot of times we don't know where wellness is. We don't know what we want. We don't know where we are going. So what's happened is, because we don't know what we want, we don't know where wellness is. It's not a place. It's such a state of mind. So you can't go there. You have to work there. So at the end of the day, a lot of the times, because we don't know what we want, we don't know where we're going, because no one gave us that roadmap. No one gave us that blueprint. I don't know about your blueprint, but my blueprint from my parents, which was their best, was a blueprint to a heart attack, because a lot of foods that we will learn to eat, quote unquote, soul foods, are heart attack waiting to happen. But that was their blueprint. So right now, when you're changing yourself, changing your whole mindset, changing your food story, your food blueprint, you have to know what it is that you want and where you're going with it. Because if you don't, you're going to settle for what you're finding. And that's what's happening in the world today, especially for Black women.
Candice, I think you're onto something real good here about knowing what you want. But even the next layer, sometimes I think, is even believing that you deserve it. Because I think there's a piece that especially Black women fight through, that, oh, that's not for me, right? Because we don't have pictures of it, right? We don't have pictures of what good health looks like, what it feels like, because we have been unhealthy and felt so bad for so long, we can't even remember. And all of our pictures aren't that. So
But that was normalcy back then. And that's the thing, like you saying, what we've come through, went through. And it's not for all of us. So even for right now, when you look at the statistics, unfortunately, I used to say 68%. Right now, we're about 80% obese and diabetic and heart disease and everything. So
it doesn't have to be that way.
It
doesn't have to be that way.
Don't get me started on that, because again, it doesn't. But I mean, I was hypertension. I was on hypertension medication. I was on diabetes medication all back then. Listen, I was almost 250 pounds. So all of that came with it. So, and I'm not on any medication today. I'm a senior citizen. I'm not on any medicine today. I love when you call Social Security and they have the list, like, what medicines are you on? I'm like, none of them.
None of that. Right?
None of that. So at the end of the day, you got to be willing to fit it in. And when I say fit, you get it in where you fit it in. And that's just meaning wellness, not just exercise, because life is moving so fast. And we all know we don't want to be 100 pounds overweight. We don't want to be 50 pounds overweight. We don't want our BMI to be over 25. It just is. And sometimes we just don't know how to. Do I have the time, the energy that it takes in order to get this done naturally? Because right now, the microwave effect is, I can go get surgery. I can go do this. I can get it lift, tucked, sucked, rolled, pulled out, cut away, stomach cut up, the whole 9 yards. Then I can go get my boobs lift back up, my butt. I can do anything that I want under the knife. But the problem that comes with doing all of that stuff, even going on all of these fad diets that we go on, and I can tell you all of them, because I've been on all of them. Now, I did not have any surgery, but you name a diet, I'm going to tell you I've been on it. So at the lemonade diet, cabbage diet, no eat diet, water and rice diet, listen, slim fast, Dextra trim, all of that stuff, I've gone through it. And one of the things I know for sure, I was just like you said, trying to lose weight. It was just a vanity. I just wanted the scale to go down. It had nothing to do with health. And
Yes.
until you bring it over to your health, you're going to always bounce back and forth. When it became a health issue for me and me understanding that this food, me moving, me sleeping, me making sure I get a bare minimum of 64 ounces of water in today, it's the thing that's going to keep me breathing. It's the thing that's not going to have me a bent over old lady.
Right.
It's the thing that I'm not going to get osteoporosis or arthritis or all the things that goes along with it. So again, when you're talking about, you have to create your analogy for you as you're getting older and going through this. We know what we want. I always say to my clients right now, okay, you're getting ready to be 60 years old. You're getting ready to be 70 years old. You're getting ready to be 50 years old, 40 years old. What don't you want to feel like? See, because it ain't got nothing about the look. What don't you want to feel like? Because when I talk to my seniors, everybody feel like crap every single day.
Mm-hmm. 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 And I want to kind of go back to what you said, because one of the things I say is we have to decide up front, what you want to look like, what you want to feel like, and how you want to show up in the world. Like we are in alignment in so many ways. Like I tried all the diets, and I did do some surgery, right? I did do some surgery. I didn't do the gastric bypass, but I did plenty of liposuction, right? I did plenty of liposuction. I got plenty of stuff lifted, but I ran into a problem, and this is when the change came for me, was that when I started to gain the weight back, I thought if I did that, I'd be able to maintain it, that's what my problem was. But my problem was I didn't understand. I didn't really understand, which I say in my TED Talk. I was 60 years old before I understood the real purpose of food. That it is just nutrition, nourishment, energy. The only problem that it solves is hunger. But my backstory, Candice, is a little different. I grew up with grandparents that were farmers. I grew up with a grandmother telling me to drink water, with a grandmother making me go to bed early, telling me to eat vegetables, right? But then once I kind of got out into the world, if you will, I lost all that. I forgot it all, right? I forgot it all.
You didn't forget about it. That's where, and that's interesting that you say that. That's where you became the rebel. And that's what we do. I ain't doing that shit no more. I ain't doing it no more. That's when you become the rebel. Right. But the same thing for everybody. Because on my side is like, food can't be this bad. I gotta go find some good food. And that's why the stories are so important.
Yes. Thank you. You know what? Thank you for telling me that was rebellion. And I think you're right. You nailed it. Right. But now all this stuff, I'm like, I should have been listening. I should have. You're right. Right. But in some ways, I think that that they had it, they knew, and Candice, we know is a lot of times when when I'm coaching and when I'm talking to people too, I say, what do you say, right? If you're in faith and you're practicing, when you sit down and you bless your meal, what do we say? God, thank you for this food. Thank you for the hands that prepared it. We pray that it will nourish and strengthen our bodies. We say those words, but we're not listening to them. We don't hear them. I said them many times. I would say those words and then I'd eat 5 baskets of chips. There ain't nothing nourishing.
God, don't be putting this on me, because I ain't telling you to do that. And that's when you simply say that there's 2 wheels biting for our attention in our life. and,
Yeah.
and it's a side when you're talking about God, because, I have a lot of Christian clients, a lot of Christian friends, and I laugh, and I don't call myself Christian, but I do say I have an absolutely amazing personal spiritual connection and
Yes.
relationship with God as you thinking about it. But even if you know his scripture, I can pull out 159 scriptures where he talk about take care of the temple and all of that stuff. But just like you said, you tend to forget that stuff in the moment,
Yes.
you,
Yes.
you tend to forget that stuff in the moment. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about wellness being personal and food being, you said that the only thing is to nourish our bodies and things like that. I look at food a little bit differently. So we know that it's nutrition. We know that it's fuel and all of that stuff. But see, I look at food as information and
Yes.
communication.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's just my spill with it, because when you're dealing with food and when you're dealing with whatever it is that you're eating, how are you communicating? So even from them 5 bags of chips, we never think about, from eating 5 bags of chips, what are you telling your body you wanted to do? So if I say, okay, you ate 5 bags of chips, how were you communicating to your body? What was the information by eating those 5 bags of chips? What, Michelle, what were you telling your body to do?
Oh man, I don't even know what I was telling my body to do. I was so disconnected from it.
But see, that's the thing.
Yep.
When you eat that type of food, the connection is severed.
Yes.
It's a disconnection now because you done gave it so much bad food. So basically what you were saying to your body is that I want to gain weight. That's number one, because eating 5 bags of chips, that fast food, the refined food, ultimately you keep eating that, that's going to put the weight on your behind. You were saying to your body, sedate me, just go sit me down anywhere, because it's nothing living in here. It's nothing. This is just dead fried food. Fried, dyed, laid to the side. So I'm going to go lay down somewhere, right? You were saying to your body, this ain't going to give me no muscles.
Yes.
It ain't a bit of macronutrients in here. And I'm going to tell you what those, it ain't a bit of good food in here whatsoever. So when you start to think about the food that way, because when I eat, when people say to Candice, what do you really do? Beyond the speaker and the coach, I sell muscles. So whenever I'm eating, I'm saying to this food, I'm going to need you to keep these muscles up. I'm going to need you to give me what I need in order for me to have my muscles, because I love muscles. Guys get to see my arms, but girl, the back is on fleek. I like that kind of stuff. So again, food, we think exercise is going to give you the body you want. Food is the only way to get the body that you want, because again, how you communicate with the food and the information that you get from the food is going to give you what you need when you go to work out. So without it, the same things. If you don't eat the right foods, you're not sleeping well.
Right.
So all of it goes right back to the rainbow. And what are you eating? So again, if you're eating, beige and white, it ain't right. You're going to be sedated. You're not going to have the muscle tone you want. When you talk to women, it was like, oh, I just want a tone, but you eating 5 bags of potato chips. That's not going to happen.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, how are you communicating with your body? Like you said, but when you eat so much of the fast foods and all the things, or just eating out, period, and not eating at home, you are disconnecting from what you're eating.
Yes. Yeah. And that notion of what you're saying to your body, it really does resonate. And part of one of the things that I think about, especially when I think about all of the processed foods, right? And all of the stuff that's in the stuff that they call food, that's not even food, that's in our bodies, right? And this language around being authentic, right? And I'm like, well, how on earth can we be authentic if we're eating artificial? I don't, that's a real disconnect for me. But I want to go back to this data and information about what food is saying to us, and talk about, because this is something I don't think is always talked about. Is it just like food is nourishment and nutritious for our body, it is also for our brains.
Girl.
What we eat impacts cognition. It impacts productivity. It impacts performance. It impacts proficiency. And if you just can't even wrap your head around, I want to eat because I want to eat in a certain way because I want to look a certain way. People talk about body shame and all that. We can, we've had those conversations. Well, just eat because you want to be smarter, right? Eat because you want a promotion. Eat because you want a better memory. Eat.
Well, that's where you have to make the connection, though. And again, all of this, like, I can go into the scientific on how that stuff works, but nobody wants to hear that, and nobody's listening to all of that, because we know that we are what we eat. Because and then when you look at some of the things that's going on, because when you look at some of the really, really successful people and what's going on with them and what they're doing, some of them is you don't know their backstory and you don't know what they're doing. But I remember reading an article, Brunson, the richest guy, the billionaire back then. And one of the questions he said the most people ask him is how did he become so successful? What is that? Can you just give me, they said 3 things. Can you just give me 3 things that I can do, to just start to be successful and go up that ladder to where we want to go? So of course, this was a business platform, right? That I was reading about. But at the end of the day, this man said, listen, self-discipline, self-mastery, eat well, and move your ass, and I'm quoting, every single day. And he said, that's what I do. I get up and I make sure I do what's for me. And for me is to work out and make sure I have a really good breakfast every single day in order to put in the work, because that's what gives me my thinking power. That's what gives me clarity. So the things are out here. It is just so inundated with information. But at the end of the day, it boils down to this. When you say you want to lose weight, when you say you want to feel better, you want to look better, or whatever your wants and desires that you said that you want, the question I always ask my clients, are you willing to do the work at the level at which you want these results? Because at the end of the day, if you want to lose weight, if you want muscles, even if you want to think clearer, it doesn't matter, whatever your desire is. When you write down your wants on your right side of the paper, on the left side of your paper, you have to ask yourself, what is it I'm willing to do? What do I have to do or must do? And who is going to help me get to it so I can reach my want, so I can reach my desire? And that's for everything. When you're talking about your body, improving your body, talking about improving your business, and when you're talking about increasing your bank and changing your relationships, it all boils down to your wants and your desires. And are you willing? Not what you need, because pastors say people beg for what they need and pay for what they want. So that's why I always say your wants and your desires. Are you willing to pay? And I don't necessarily mean invest in money. Are you willing to pay? Are you willing to invest in what's necessary so you can get to that want, to that desire?
It's time. It's not always money. You're right. It's time, but
energy.
But I want to go back to that list that you were talking about, and you said who can enlist the help of who can help you get there. One of the things that I often talk about is because I'm about writing, so we're on the same page here. But I think it's important to write down who won't help you get there. The people, right? Because we really have to take inventory of what's going on in that situation, right? Especially if you're trying to do something different, right? If you know what, here's my list of people that are always in my corner that are going to support me, right? And so if you're feeling some kind of way, you can lean into them. Well, it's important to identify those people that aren't going to be a help. It's important to identify those situations that are tough. The people that are tough, the situations that are tough, the time of day that's tough. Identify what those challenges are and get them in your head. So guess what? While you're building the muscle to get better, you can avoid them, or at least come up with some strategy to deal with them.
That's good. And one of the things I always say, and it's all about, ships, relationships that you're dealing with, and when you think about the definition of a ship, it's just a vessel that's going to take you somewhere, right? It's going to elevate you. It's going to get you where you need to go, where you want to be, before you can get to it. You gotta go through it. So what is that ship going to help you go through it so you can get to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about your relationships, you're talking about your friendships, you're talking about your partnerships, you're talking about your business ships, anybody that you have a relationship with. And this is where you got to take inventory and decide if those ships are not enhancing your life and taking you where you want to go, regardless of what time, when, where, how. It's time to abandon ship. And that's what you have to do when you just said that. That's what just came to mind when you're taking inventory about what you don't need, what's not going to help you. But the problem is that we're so busy trying to pull the people up the mountain that don't want to go. You got to let their asses go and leave them there and go on about your business. And that's one of the things that we get a little upset at, because we trying to pull everybody. It was a time where, I was so into this wellness thing. I was a little spooky to myself that I wanted everybody to be well, right? I'm telling you, if I saw you eating the 5 bags of chips, I might have came and knocked them out your hand. That's how crazy I was about it. But what I began to understand is that people gotta want better.
Yeah.
They are not going to do better unless they really want better. Wellness cannot be forced. It's a personal thing. You got to be willing to walk the walk. So I no longer try to pull you in my camp. I no longer try to pull you into the Wellologist zone. It's an amazing zone, but I'm not trying to pull you into it. But what I do is I leave the door open. And when you are ready, so all these people that listen to this and come back, timing is everything. And you hear a lot. Oh, it's a process. Oh, the hell with that. The process don't start until you do something. Stop talking about it.
Yes.
Talking about it is not going to get anything done. My grandmother say, you either gonna move your assets or move your mouth. Like, which one is it going to be? Because moving your mouth is not going to change anything. So you have to move your assets. If you do not move your assets, everything about your life is going to turn into a liability.
Oh man, you've said something there. You have the process doesn't start until you get started. That beautiful. So, Candice, we're about to wind down on time. So before we continue, I just want to take a break right now so that you can tell anybody who is moved or inspired, right, how to get in touch with you. Because I don't know who could be listening to it and not be moved or inspired, right? And because that and know that you are opening the doors of the church, well, opening the doors of the structure, whatever you're opening the doors, because you do have to be ready, right? This road, right, is not for the faint of heart, right? But on the other side, as you continue to walk down the road, your heart will get stronger, right? Your everything, it gets better. It gets better as you move along the journey. I one of the analogies I talk about when you're first learning how to write. I'll be talking about writing, and you're in kindergarten. you're in kindergarten or first grade, and you get the big fat pencil, and you see all the letters up in the room, in the classroom, and the teacher's like, okay, here, make your letters, make your A, make your B, write your name, and you write with the big fat pencil, and you're trying to make the A's, and your numbers look all, your letters look all crooked and shaky, and they don't look like the numbers up on the around the board. They don't look all beautiful like those letters look. And the teacher says, "Oh, you're doing so good, but you can look at your numbers, and your letters, and you're like, no, they don't. They look crooked. They're all to the side. They're not the same." But every day you come in with that big fat pencil, and you write your A and your B and your C, and over time, your letters get a little straighter. They get a little smoother. They start looking a little bit better to you. The next thing you know, the pencil, the teacher gives you the little skinny pencil, the little. That's what happened back in the 60s. I don't know what they did in 2024. You get the little skinny yellow pencil, and you're writing, and now you're writing cursive, right? When you're doing it every day, and by the time you get to the end of the school year, you're putting little curly cues at the end of your letters. Your dot above your I is a little heart. You're putting your T's. You're crossing them with a swirl, and that is because you've achieved mastery. It's once you get to mastery, this thing becomes fun. This journey becomes fun. This walk to wellness, this becomes fun. This being sexy and fit, it becomes fun because you've gotten mastery. You want to discover every day something new about yourself. You want to discover something new every day about how you manage food. Not have a relationship food, not have a relationship with it, because you can't. What you do is you manage it, right? Because food is inanimate. We know that. We're on the same page with that. We manage it, but it becomes a joy to you. It becomes fun because you have the skill, but you have to work every day to get to this place of mastery and skill. And when
you
you
know
get
what,
to
Michelle,
it's
and
joy.
you know what, and it becomes joy. And here is what I would leave, that everything that you talked about is so good. But just to sum it all up, practice brings joy. And is about as simple as it can get, because the more you practice, you don't become the master of anything until you practice it. So the more that you practice it, then the joy will just show up. But
Yes.
you can't go in search of joy. You got to work up to the joy.
Oh, I love it. Work up to the joy. Now tell people how to get in touch with you. Tell them about everything that you offer. Let's talk about your book.
Okay.
Let's give us the deets. Give us the deets.
See,
Give us the
of
website. Give
course,
us everything.
I'm working on two things that I'm working on, because again, the podcast, I'm working on setting up the podcast as a Chew on That podcast, where we're going to have some thought-provoking conversations of change. And I have got together 365 chews that I say every single day that's going into the new book. So that's
Tell everybody what the chews are.
the chews is basically small soul bites. It's small bites of change that will change your life. It's just a thought-provoking quote that I send out every day for the last year. Something that to think about, something as simple as that I have the freedom to choose and the freedom to change. They're really quick, they're really snappy, but it's a thought-provoking chew, something that I want you to chew on each and every day of the year, one bite at a time. Because one of the things when we're talking about food, you change your life 1 minute at a time, one bite at a time, one decision at a time, one action at a time, one step at a time. And that's what the Chew on That's all about. So that book is up and coming, and the podcast is coming out along with it. But I'm also looking for ambitious women who's ready, somebody that want results. I want you to remember the word ready, somebody that wants results and that's excited to take action and determined to say yes. That's what ready means, to say yes, that I want to change. I want to join the wellness revolution. The book that I already have is Sexy Fit and Well, Fitness on the Go. 40 days, 40 ways to rock to the rhythm of your thoughts. because that's what changing your body, your business, and your bank is all about. It's about changing your mind. So you got to rock to the rhythm of your own thoughts. And if you want to change the way you think, you have to move your physical position, change your physical position. So for all the information you can find at sexyfitandwell.com, all spelled out. You can follow me on social media, Candice Camille, the Wellologist, at the Wellologist on Instagram and LinkedIn. I would love to be connected to each and every one of you to show you that better is available and change is there only if you want it and if you're willing to do the work. Go to sexyfitandwell.com and join the revolution.
Oh, Candice, thank you. Thank you so much for an hour packed with information and words and encouragement and support and insight and thought. You always bring it. You always bring it. And y'all, I am telling you, if you don't follow this woman, follow her. Check out the Chew. I get them every day. I get them every day. I read them every day. I know you might not think I don't get them and read them, but I do. I get them and read them here's why the Chew and having inspiration and having this daily support is so important. It's because we have to go out and fight a toxic food environment every day.
Yes.
We have to go out and fight a toxic environment. We have to fight toxic relationships. We have to fight some toxic thoughts that we have in our own head. We have to fight them every day. We have to create space to put in some good stuff to replace the stuff that we want to move out of the way. Right? That's why Candice's upcoming podcast is so important. That's why Get the Backstory Live is so important. And that's why I'm so glad that she has this message, because anything that we can get, we need to be armored up. We need to be armored up, because there's we talked about this earlier in the show. There's the snack food people, there's the fast food people, there's the junk food people, there's a whole bunch of people out there, companies and organizations manufacturing stuff that they do not care about our life or our health.
Can we not forget about the drug people? Please don't forget about the pharmaceuticals.
Yes. Yeah, right. When we get well, they go out of business. Just be clear on that. When we get well, they go out of business. This is about taking the conversations that Candice is having, the conversations that I'm having, the conversations that we come together and have it is about saving your life. And if you want to be sexy, if sexy opens the door to saving your life, be sexy, right? If wearing cuter clothes, because that's what it was for me. I just wanted to wear cuter clothes. I was so disconnected from a health message, I didn't even think about it, right? But it wasn't until I started to read, and started to understand that this is about not just saving my life, it is about saving the life of my sisters and brothers. It's about saving the life of anybody who is ready to take their life back, to claim their life back, right? Because it is not too late. It is never too late. You always have time. And now is the time to do it. If you've been putting it off, call Candice, call me, call somebody for support, and just get on the road. Start taking the steps. Start this journey to your joy.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Candice, you were about to say something, because I'm about
to. No, I was just saying thank you. That was it. That just brought it all in from me. Like you said, call somebody, because at this time in our life, especially for those of us that's getting older, and myself included. So don't think I don't have a coach. I got 5 coaches. So at the end of the day, we always need somebody to help us when, where, how. So that's basically in who's going to help you get to where you want to go. But when you come before me, the first question I'm going to ask you is, what do you want? You have to know that before you go before anybody in order for us to help you.
Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful parting words. Always, always so good to see you, my sister. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in to Get the Backstory Live. Keep tuning in. We're going to keep bringing you the truth, right? We're going to keep bringing you the truth. We'll see you next month.
What does it mean to get the backstory? It means asking the hard questions and getting to the heart of what matters about your mental, spiritual, financial, and physical well-being. In my quest to find wholeness, wellness, and end the 40 years of obesity that ravaged my body, I found that it was my own stories that were keeping me trapped in processed food addiction. Once I started asking the right questions, those same stories led to brand new consciousness, mindfulness, and agency. Each month on Get the Backstory Live, we take on the tough questions so you can find the healing, hope, and transformation hidden in your story.